But in the A story, Peter is going to convince Mindy to act like him. You know, see as many guys as she can and dump them as soon as she senses things are going poorly. Not a recipe for love, certainly, but you would avoid the inevitable heartbreak, so I see the appeal. Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of The Mindy Project. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, I'm going to give you a quick agenda here. We start with the Potent Notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the episode or series. Then I go into the episode overview, which is me talking about everything that happened in the episode. Then I do the rank, which is where I rank the episode on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, in 5 different categories, all to figure out what is the best sitcom of all time. Now, today we're going to be ranking the 19th episode of the second season of The Mindy Project, titled Think Like a Peter, written by Charlie Grandy and directed by Ken Whittingham. Now, this show's been out for a while. It's on Hulu. It's available. So if you're worried about spoilers, you should watch it beforehand because I will be spoiling it. But without further ado, let's dive into the rankings here, starting with the Potent Notables.
Potent Notables.
So this 19th episode of the second season aired Tuesday, April 15th, 2014. Mindy is back to her regular 9:30 time slot, and New Girl has come back to anchor the 9 p.m. slot. Glee is still doing an hour at the 8 o'clock slot for Fox. It was a weak night for all of them, with Glee starting off with 2.4 million viewers, New Girl losing 200,000 to 2.2 million, and Mindy losing another 200,000 to 2 million viewers. As for competition, Mindy squeaked by Supernatural on the CW, which had 1.6 million viewers, but it tied Dance Moms on Lifetime. It lost to 19 Kids and Counting on TLC, which had 2.24 million viewers, Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, which had 5.5 million, Growing Up Fisher on NBC, which had 5.9, and of course, NCIS Los Angeles on CBS, which won the time slot with 14.7 million viewers. But what won the night? Why, NCIS, of course. NCIS had 17.1 million viewers for CBS in the 8 to 9 time slot. Now, in looking for Potent Notables, I discovered that apparently fans of the show at the time didn't like that they got Mindy and Danny together so early in the show's run. They had wanted seasons of buildup, I guess. I don't know about you all, or maybe there are some of you who felt that way then, but don't anymore. But personally, I'm glad we didn't have multiple seasons of buildup. The reason they decided against it, according to Ike Barinholtz, was the characters' ages, saying, quote, "This isn't Gossip Girl. These are not like super young teenage kids. These are professional doctors who are in their early to late 40s. And to kind of tease it out too long seemed a little unrealistic, you know? Watching them together is so fun that there was a little bit of back and forth last season in the writer's room. Should it happen? Should it not happen? But then eventually you just get to a certain point where we want it. The fans want it, the characters want it." End quote. I'm in agreement with Ike here. But anyway, those are the Potent Notables. Let's go to the episode overview. We open with another disappointing voiceover in that it doesn't end up being a random person that Mindy's talking to. It's just an actual voiceover. But we soon discover that she's on a date, which continues the disappointment, but not with the show this time, just that Danny did this to her. Like, she might have been happy with Cliff if he had just left well enough alone, but no, now she's got to be on this date with Phil, who says that if she's looking to order more sexy, she doesn't need to because her cup runneth over. I mean, yikes. On top of that, he was someone that Betsy set her up, which is, come on, Betsy. Amazingly though, when Mindy is back at the office, we discover that she spent all weekend with him and that she's going to Vermont next weekend because it's cheaper to see the foliage off season, which is a really good joke. It didn't get me, but I still thought it was excellent. She goes back to her office and lies on the floor, and Danny goes in to find out what the drama is, and she says, "There's no drama, my back just hurts." And then immediately calls Peter into her office to discuss the hot goss of her life. Now, normally I would feel sort of bad for Danny in this situation, but not this time, buddy. You did it to yourself, man. But this is going to lead to the B story of Danny desperately seeking out someone to unload their drama on him because he misses talking to Mindy. But in the A story, Peter is going to convince Mindy to act like him. You know, see as many guys as she can and dump them as soon as she senses things are going poorly. Not a recipe for love, certainly, but you would avoid the inevitable heartbreak, so I see the appeal. He ends up convincing her to go out to a bar with him, and he does so by showing how to ghost someone, which is fucked up. Poor Phil. But at this bar, Mindy is going to meet Schmidt. Well, Lee, but it's really Schmidt from New Girl. Am I right? Turns out he's a first grade teacher in this universe, and things seem to be going well with him and Mindy, and eventually lead to him going back to Mindy's place with her. But while they're getting it on, Danny has stumbled onto some real office gossip when he opens a pantry looking for a plastic knife and finds Morgan and Tamra canoodling. Now, I can't be the the only one that was almost more happy to see Morgan and Tamara together than wanting to see Danny and Mindy get back together. Also, Tamara was fully clothed and Morgan was in his underwear, which is just a really goofy choice and really the best comedic choice. Danny convinces Tamara to talk to him about what's going on, and of course, Tamara understands that he wants what Mindy usually gives him, though she doesn't know the full extent. We find out that Tamara wants to be with Morgan, which is really exciting, and then Danny freaking ruins it by convincing her that office romances never work out. Projecting much, Danny? Cut to the next day, and Mindy wakes up alone in bed because Leah's ditched her, and then she's kind of a dick to Morgan, who tells Mindy that he's not going to be seeing Tamara anymore because she got back together with Rayron. Also, this is when we find out that Morgan is still living at Mindy's, which is fun, but she just cuts him off like this doesn't matter because she sees Lee's stupid scarf. There's a great bit here though where she asks Morgan if he knows what this means, to which he replies, "I get to keep the scarf?" But Mindy thinks he left it there on purpose for her to come find him. You'd think leaving a number would be a better way to do it, but you know, Mindy's not in the best frame of mind right now. She talks Peter into helping her find Lee, and while they're doing that, Danny is consoling Morgan about the lost chance for love that Danny caused. Morgan ends up taking him to Rayron's work, which is where Morgan finds out that Danny convinced Tamara to stay with Rayron. So I imagine the relationship between Danny and Morgan is going to be chilly for a few episodes. We'll see how long they stick with it. Meanwhile, Mindy finds out that Peter was right, that whenever a guy leaves something behind, it's an accident. Mindy debasing herself here really made me cringe and pity her. Not my favorite thing. The thing I did really enjoy was the epiphany that Peter has when he realizes that all the things he's mad at Lee for doing to Mindy, he does to other women, saying, "Am I a dick? Do you guys think I'm a dick?" That was good stuff. Turns out Lee was married and Peter ends up punching him, which was fun. On the way back to the office, where Danny gave up on looking for Mindy just before, Peter asks Mindy if she's ever left earrings behind, and she's like, "No, never, that's crazy." I wasn't sure why he specifically said earrings, but we'll find out at the end. Danny ends up calling Peter's sister for a hookup, which she happily obliges to, and as he's sitting in bed with her, the camera pans down to a pair of earrings on the floor under Danny's bed. I thought that was kind of stupid, but I know they're telling us that it's not really over yet between Danny and Mindy, which I'm glad of, but eh. Anyway, let's find out how it ranked.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode based on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before I dive into the rankings, I just want to say if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help me out. But without further ado, let's go into the rankings here. The first category is story, which I gave a 3.25. The story is essentially Peter realizing he's a dick, and that's fine. It's also surrounding Mindy's efforts to rebound and her insecurities surrounding Danny. That's all good stuff, but maybe not a great overarching story. So the next category is acting, which I gave a 5. I thought this one was really well acted. It did seem a little like Max Greenfield was playing Schmidt as a first grade teacher, but I enjoyed Schmidt, so whatever. I thought Chris Messina did a good job of playing Lost Puppy, and Ike and Zosha were great as well. Really well acted episode. So let's go to dialogue, which I gave a 4.5. Made me laugh a pretty decent amount. I enjoyed the writing. I liked the way they brought Peter around to self-realization. I thought it was all around a really well-written episode. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 4.75. This felt better than the last one as far as Danny is concerned. I feel like they could have swapped this one with the last one and it might have come out a little better, but still, it was well done. We're seeing the growth and distance between Mindy and Danny. It's good build-up and it doesn't feel contrived. Also, I loved that Morgan and Tamara were hooking up. I'm so disappointed that Danny convinced her to stay with Rayron. So let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 5. This felt like a really honest exploration of post-breakup feelings, much more so than last week's episode. I really empathized with Mindy and Danny this time. I also related to Morgan and Tamara and even Peter and Lee. It was all really well done in my opinion. So it's got a lot of high rankings here in all the categories, so it's not going to take much of a laugh counter to keep it in the top 3 tiers, and it has a really good laugh counter. It got me 20 times. And that puts the grand total up to a 40.25 for the episode, which puts it in the meaning of life. And as for the series average, it goes to a 36.1, giving it a pretty decent jump further into the Holy Grail. So thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankedpodcast.com. Now, if you're enjoying these episodes or you're just a fan of the Mindy Project and enjoy consuming content about it, please consider subscribing and or following. Like the episode, comment. You can shoot me an email at info@therankedpodcast.com with questions, comments, suggestions, whatever. I will respond to you. If you really want to support us, you can become a patron on our Patreon page at patreon.com/therankedpodcast, where you can get access to all of our archived episodes. But I will leave you So with this, why did Mindy decide to go back to being a hopeless romantic?
I don't know.
Because her energy really petered out trying to be a player.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I thought Chris Messina did a good job of playing Lost Puppy, and that Ike and I thought Chris Messina did.
He is malfunctioning.